finally getting Waste Nights to the table. This is a post-apocalyptic game of adventure and survival in the ruined Australia. Watched Mad Max Fury Road last night and got a itch that I need to scratch. So setting up the first scenario, which is a solo scenario, or can be played solo, which is Trouble in the South. There's two solos, Trouble in the South and Wild in the North. They can be played solo or with other people. They're both part of the Road to Ruin scenario or mission. And this one's kind of a race. I'm going to be starting off here in New Sydney and having to go get these different plot tokens all the way over to Carcassville. And there's a time token and there's a special token there, and those will move and do certain things as well. I'm starting off with Zoe Shaw, who's a mechanic and on a bike, because as this looks kind of like a race type scenario, I thought I would pick something fast and a mechanic to manage my vehicle along the way. So this is generally the setup. I think I'm pretty close to getting everything set up here. Don't know if I'm going to do play-by-play on this or just do little updates as I move through the ruined Australia South. Thanks all. Thought I'd do a little bit of an update here, playing Waste Night 2nd Edition, and I'm playing with Zoe Shaw, and she made it to Alice Offspring. We've had a little bit of combat with hill rats in the mountains and fought off Alice's outcasts. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Again, I don't want to go into any spoilers here, but loading up on ammo, but also getting the hits as well. With a little bit of radiation. So here we are. Need to make it across the river because we're trying to get to Carcassville. And we also have the golfer has been revealed. Thanks all. Hello all, I'm back for my final recap. Playing Waste Nights 2nd Edition. Again, in the description, I'll put links to my unboxing of the base game and an expansion that I didn't end up not playing with the expansion this time, just played a base game scenario. So how did we end up with Waste Nights? Well, as I said, I've been playing the Trouble in the South, and I've been trying not to do spoilers, too much spoilers on this. So I will, in this one, really talk a little bit about gameplay and my thoughts on the game in general without trying to give too many spoilers. But I ended up in Carcassville. That's the track you have to take when you're playing Trouble in the South, and I was able to do it. And it was on turn 4 at the end there, which is nice because you start off, I think, like on turn 3, but every time you pick up one of these plot tokens, you add 2 to the track. So it keeps you moving forward and able to keep the story moving forward, and you're not going to run out of time if you hit your plots on cue. Yeah, I might have had, I think in a previous update, I might have had too many gas tokens on there. I was in the middle of sorting stuff out at the time. But, so yeah, so I did Trouble in the South here. Again, don't want to do too many spoilers. It came out victorious. I'll leave it at that. But it was close. I ended up, my health was at, say, 1, 2, 3, 4 damage on health. One of it was one of these, which takes 2 to, it's a regular hit, but it takes 2 to heal up on that. Did a lot of camping at the end, because if I'd went into that final battle without camping, I would have been really destroyed, because my health was up pretty high. I spent camping just to, well, I explored to get meds, and then camp to heal. So interesting game. As I said, I don't want to do too many spoilers, but I did fight caveman mandibular. Went through a brush fire. Had dealt with a drop bear. Dealt with a steel dragonfly, hill rats, and and took out Alice's outcast as part of an adventure. When you roll these encounters here, or draw these encounters, they're not going to do anything unless they, for this adventure, either the A, B, or E is what comes into play, and then that's the paragraphs that you're going to have to read. This is very much a paragraph-driven game. You are going to be reading entries and making choices. I played it solitaire. On that, you got to be careful not to read too far ahead or try to make a decision on what is best for you. In fact, the rules say make a decision that is worse for you, because this is a ruined nation, and you gotta deal with the difficulties. If you're playing with 2-player or more, then you can have someone else read the entries and make choices based on that. But there's a lot of entries in here, and again, a typical paragraph-driven fashion. You're going to be reading, making choices, and then doing tests and following those choices. When you're doing tests, you're going to be, the tests are going to be, or skill tests are going to be different things. It's going to be either using of your different skills, and you're going to be rolling dice based on that. So like Zoe rolls 2 white dice for blades, 2 for survival, 2 for aid. Guns, a white and a green, negotiate white and a green, and tech 2 green. She's really good on tech. She's really good on repair. She can repair 4 when she camps. That came in handy to repair her bike and other things, equipment. She explores 2, and that's basically what she is right there. She ended up breaking an arm. You can have injuries in this. She ended up breaking an arm, so she can only use one-armed weapons, which, she was using a submachine gun for a while, and then she had to go back to her sawed-off shotgun with one arm. But, I was able to get enough experience that this requires 6 experience points. She had a servo arm, which helped her when attacking. So, think of Furiosa from Mad Max Fury Road, with the servo arm here. Plus, she's a mechanic, so this pretty much is Furiosa. So I haven't seen the newest one yet, though. So don't tell me, don't spoil it for me. So it was very thematic. I mean, there's stories in here that are going to take you along the path and add to what you're trying to accomplish. This is really a battle between the cartel and the Free Mutant League, and what you end up doing on that track comes into play as decisions are made, and what you can make choices on, and it really comes into play in the final battle. Again, I don't want to spoil too much, but consider your choices wisely, or make your choices wisely, because they are going to affect what you can and can't do, and how the final battle might, if there is a final battle in your game, how that might turn out. But even though it's driven a lot by the narrative of the book, it's not all narrative. You've got these spaces here, with mountains and brush and desert or open, and that's gonna come into play with these cards on what area you're in, like a road hex, or in this desert hex, or I can't remember if that's what it's called, or one of these hexes or one of these hexes. That's going to determine, you draw from this deck, and that's where a lot of these encounters come from. They might be, encounters like this, or they're probably going to more encounters like this, but most likely more than likely they're going to be fighting something that are going to have their dice, what they roll, what their health is, and any special abilities. And if you defeat them, you get some reward from that, which could be gear, could be experience points, it could be meds, or ammo, or gas. See, these are pull these up over here. These are the 3 of the resources that you use the most. Ammo you're going to use in fighting, meds you're going to use to heal, and gas you're going to use to run your vehicle. I actually was able to use gas on the final battle, and I had to use it. I picked up this at a camp after I've gotten 3 experience points, and was able to get an upgrade. There are generic upgrades, and then each of the characters have unique upgrades. And this is Zoe's unique upgrade. Was able to discard a gas to be able to get 2 points, which is just what I needed to win my final battle. So not only are you reading these encounters, but you're encountering stuff through the card. So it's a good mix. I mean, there's stuff that you're drawing from cards that moves the story forward, and that's going to be different every time. And then you're reading passages in this book. Now, the passages in the book are going to be the same every time you play this. I mean, you might make some different decisions as you go through this, but there's not a ton of replayability for each of the scenarios. At least in this first one, I can see playing it possibly a second time, maybe with a different character, because there were a lot of decisions in this that were geared towards a mechanic, which is what she was. If you were a different role, there's going to be some different options open to you, for at least for this first scenario. So there is replayability here, but it's not like it's a fully open and new game every time, because you do kind of have a narrative track you're following. Now, the spaces are going to be different, because whatever you draw on these cards over here, that's going to be new each time. Exploring is going to be new, and these are the encounters that you have in those different areas. And you don't necessarily always have an encounter. It depends on what space you land on or what space you move through on the board. So you could pick a path where you could reduce the number of encounters if you so chose. It's up to you. So basically on your turn, you're going to do 2 actions. You can do here it is. Knight's turn. They have to be different, and that's something that I was thinking this was a short game, or had to get through these spaces quick. So I was going to try to double up my move, but you can't do that. So you can do 2 different actions. You can move, which depends on the vehicle you have, is how many movement points you have. So like this vehicle I picked, a bike, has 5 movement points. This is how much gas it can hold, and this is how much damage it could take. Right here is 4, and I had 2 damage. I got up to 3 at one point. So I had 5 movement, so that allowed me to go through the movement points on the board, and the different areas have different movements, as you can see right there. Some are 0, you just buzz right through them, but then the other ones are 2, 2, and then 1 up there, and then of course there is that 1 that you cannot move through at all. Then there's those symbols that you see at the bottom there. Those are if you go through a hex that has that, then you're going to have to add or deal with that encounter in the game there. You can camp, and when you camp, you can heal, you can repair, and you can upgrade. So camping is vital. You can explore, and that's when you draw out of that orange deck right there, and that's going to give you choices depending on what the terrain you're in. So if you're in this type of terrain, this is what you get, this is what you get, this is what you get, and this is what you get. Sometimes it could be a bad thing. You might break something, or something bad can happen to you as well. But normally in the Explorer, you get resources that you need. You can do a city action, and there's a lot of different things you can do in the city. I really didn't do this much. I was on the road, and I was busting my hump to get to each of the plot points, so I didn't really spend any time in the city. Then you can do the plot action. That's where, depending on the scenario, these are going to be put out at different locations, and when you get these, something happens. The scenario will tell you what's going to happen in that case. Like here, you move 2 spaces up on the time track, so it gives you more time, because the more you're achieving your plot, you're extending your journey, and then you read these certain paragraphs in this one. So plot points move the story forward, and then but you have to do that action to actually take advantage of the plot point. And then there's special actions, and that depends upon I believe the character in that respect. There's the map legend again. Highway, desert, scrub, crater, and mountains are the different places, and then you got a city over there. Here's how you do combat. There's an engagement step, which is normally if the enemy, or if you, I didn't have that ability, but the enemy can ambush you, so they go first and get the upper hand on you. There's ranged attacks if you have ranged weapons, but then you usually have to spend ammo for that. Then there is the advanced step, and that's the step where I actually used my gas burner to finish off my guy, and then melee attacks. And again, that's with melee weapons, or you can just use your fist. In my case, that'd just be two white die is what I used if you wanted to just use your fist. But then again, I had that servo arm, so servo arm could come in handy there. Add another white die, and then there's different traits. These are the combat traits that come out. There are also going to be modifiers that come out of this bag here. If there's an encounter die or symbol on the board, you'll pull from this bag, and this will modify either your skill test or your combat, depending on what's on the token that you draw there. And that's pretty much it. This is not a full explanation of the rules, but it kind of gives you a little bit of a feel for how the game plays. Final thoughts. I liked it. I liked the game. It's got a good narrative story. It plays very well solitaire. There's a challenge. I mean, I had to manage my health a lot and had to pick when to camp, and the decisions you make in this book affect everything down the road, at least in this adventure that I played here. So on the whole, I like it. How's it compared to like Fallout or Defenders of the Last Stand? Those are two other. I've got several post-apocalyptic games, but those are Defenders of the Last Stand, Fallout, Post-Human, and this are four of the ones I probably played the most. I like it a little bit better than Fallout. The story to me is a little bit more engaging, although it is a little bit more linear. I think I can do a little bit more sandbox in Fallout. Post-Human it's got it's more all about mutations and stuff. That one's a little bit more resource management and press your luck. Defenders of the Last Stand is kind of a States of Siege or tower defense type game, and I like that quite a bit. It doesn't have the narrative though. This one compares to Fallout with the narrative. Has those two are both kind of narrative driven. But I do like this. I do like this game. I need to play it more and try to do some of the different scenarios. What don't I like about this game? Well, the setup but the setup for Fallout is that way. So for any of these games that are narrative based or adventure based, there's usually a lot of bits and components. But now I got to put all these bits and components back, so I'm gonna have fun with that. The replayability, I'm a little concerned. Again, as with most narrative-driven games, there's always a replayability issue there, or potentially there. This one, I think, has you can at least get a couple of plays out of each of the different adventures. Maybe three if you want to do that. But so that becomes a question of how many adventures are in this book and how much replayability is there in that. I don't know. We'll see. But again, I don't play this enough, so I probably have plenty of gameplay left to get into this. Anyway, love to know your thoughts on it. Oh, one more bad thing. One more kind of negative on it. The rule book was okay, but, I mean, they could use an icon chart showing out what all the different icons are. They really don't have a master list. You're having to hunt and peck and search and find and all that kind of fun stuff. It'd be nice to have all the different icons in one spot so you know exactly what you're dealing with. I found the rules a little disjointed. I think everything's there and it's easy enough to play, but man, it took a while to get started in this, trying to go through and figure out where everything's at. There's not a ton of rules, but some of it overlaps. There's some stuff that you need to know that's in the Book of Tales. There's some that's in the scenario book, and there's some in the rule book. And I don't know, I found it a little bit clunky to get through all of that. Anyway, that's my final thoughts. I went on longer than I expected. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope that you're enjoying your evening or morning or noon or night or whenever you're reading this. I had to change tripods because one broke during the filming of this, and I actually started filming this during Labor Day and took a break to go out and play some Frisbee golf with my youngest. So anyway, thanks all. Take care. Thanks for watching.